It's another really important area and can make a huge difference. Again, health, performance. In fact, if I had to say the three most important things when it comes to health, it's nutrition, exercise, and sleep. Sleep is up there with those other two. Okay, the number one predictor of academic success is not where you went to high school, is not how much time you spend doing your homework, it's not genes, it's how much sleep you get. Okay, and maybe after this lecture you'll understand that. What do these three things have in common? The crash of the Exxon Valdez, the Challenger explosion, and a teenager going into a tree and killing herself. On that note, sleep deprivation. Okay, what was the poor captain of the Exxon Valdez? His name was famous. Okay, anyway, it was blamed on he had a drink or two. Had nothing to do with it. The third mate was at the helm, and he'd gotten 6 hours sleep in the last 48. So the greatest tragedy in nature is right up there due to that. Challenger explosion, the subcommittee did a big look at what was the cause of the Challenger explosion, and they found that the top NASA officials were really very much at fault. They hadn't been getting much sleep. And sleep deprivation is responsible for 1/3 of car accidents. All right. We have a pandemic of fatigue in our culture. This is resulting from cultural, economic, health, and technological influences. We live in an anti-sleep culture, and it's alive and well at Mount Holyoke, I will tell you. And a very significant cost to us all. All right? So again, continuum. The number one determinant of how we function mentally and how we perform is sleep. Okay. Sleepiness during the day is not normal. That is not normal. That is not okay. I think we're so used to it because of this pandemic of fatigue. We think that's normal. That if you sit down for a few minutes or in a lecture and you start dozing, you are sleep deprived. Okay. And one of the things that I want to get across to you is we need the same alarm and public awareness for drowsy driving as we do drunk driving. They're in the same category. All right. Pull over. Pull over. As much as I care about your athletic performance and your academic performance, and I really do, if I can prevent one person from going off the Mass Pike and crashing, that would be good too. All right? We are very poor predictors of how tired we are and how close we are to falling asleep. Okay, drowsiness is really close to falling asleep. So when you're, and we've all done it, you know, at the wheel, pull over. It ain't worth it. Just one night's bad sleep compromises your ability to function physically, mentally, and emotionally the next day. All right. One of my favorite quotes, sleep deprivation makes you stupid, lowers productivity, ruins your health, and may very well shorten your life. And there's a lot of research coming out now looking at sleeping patterns and longevity. And getting 8+ hours a night is a good way to live a longer life. One of the things that would contribute. We need to start realizing that sleep deprivation is brain impairment. So that doesn't really speak well for Mount Holyoke College. We have a lot of people walking around impaired severely. All right. Here's some facts that kind of drive it home too. Daylight savings fact. In the fall, we turn the clocks back and we all get an extra hour of sleep. That Monday morning, there's less car accidents than any other day. Well, how stupid are we for not going to bed an hour earlier every night? How many people be walking around alive? Okay. In the spring, when we turn the clocks forward and we lose an hour of sleep, guess what? That Monday morning, there's more heart attacks than any other morning, and there's more car accidents than any other morning. So the take-home point is if you have to schedule elective surgery, don't do it on that Monday morning. Okay? Losing even 1 hour sleep can decrease your alertness by 1/3 the next day. So my first thought was, well, what if I lose 3 hours sleep? I'm like, zero alert. That happens too. All right. So let's look at the different realms of what happened when you don't get enough sleep. The academic realm, this is a bit of a stretch. Compromised immune system, decreased motivation, memory, and concentration, and decreased creativity and spontaneity. I'll share another study with you where they took two groups and they taught them some French it was a new language to them. And then they got one group went to bed, got 8 hours sleep. The other group got 3 hours sleep that night. And the next morning they got a quiz, and you can guess what happened. The people that got a good night's sleep did much, much significantly better on the quiz than the group that got very little sleep. And I said, I wonder what happens if then the second night everybody gets a good night's sleep, 8 hours. And then they give them another quiz, and that gap remained. The group that had gotten a poor night's sleep the first night did not catch up. Okay. Something to think about when you're staying up studying for an exam. Just likelihood of problems, stomach, headache, reduces the ability to process information, to reason, and to make effective decisions. Okay. Really important stuff. The executive functioning, that involves impulse control, planning, and abstract reasoning skills. It's related to ADHD. So basically it disrupts your prefrontal cortex, which is related to executive functioning. Okay, and there's your bottom line. Okay, they did a study, again, 4th and 6th graders. This was done in Israel, and that 1 hour sleep difference over time led to a 2-year academic gap in academic performance and achievement scores. Okay, in the emotional realm, increased irritability, reduces the ability to deal with emotions. This seems to be the slide that I can relate to the most. One's threshold of containing anger is lowered, increases level of depression, stress, anxiety, worry, and frustration. And as I mentioned, decreased longevity. High school students getting fewer than 8 hours of sleep had double the risk of a clinical level of depression. Just being a woman puts you at greater risk for sleep problems, largely because of fluctuations in the levels of estrogen and progesterone that happen throughout your menstrual cycle. Deep restorative sleep tends to decline in the latter half of your cycle and improve after your period ends, if that resonates with anyone. PMS also decreases time spent in deep sleep. And again, I read a study this summer, longevity. Those who get about 8 hours sleep a night had the lowest mortality of any other group. All right, emotions. There's some humor for you. Okay, at least got a smile out of him. My God, is it really that bad? You're tired? The mountain, the pool, just a rough. What is it? Today's day 3. God, we got a long way to go, kids. All right, mood. Nothing affects mood more than sleep deprivation. Take my word for it. You'll be able to tell when you come in the training what kind of night's sleep I've had. Oh, now they'll be afraid to come in. No, I'll be nice to you anyway. Just FYI, there is an interesting link between sleep loss and obesity. But again, obesity is complex. And when I was talking about fat regulation and hormones and dieting and losing weight, it's very complicated. And can go to what happened when you were in the womb, to your genes, to how much sleep you're getting. So there's a lot of factors that we wouldn't even necessarily think about. But I do want to say regarding obesity, we tend to think that people are large or obese, or whatever word you want to use, because they eat too much and or exercise too little. And that is not true. And I could spend another hour convincing you of that, but I don't have that right now. But take my word for it. It's not that simple. As I said, there's a lot of other factors. So that's an erroneous misconception that is played out on TVs and newspapers and magazines every day. In the athletic realm, increased proneness to injury, all right? It can reduce your reaction time and actually literally reduce your cardiovascular performance, okay? The average college student sleeps about 6.1 hours a night. And athletes actually tend to get less sleep than non-athletes. A lot of studies will show. We need to start realizing that sleep is medicine and sustenance, and very much related to repair of tissue and vitality, okay? And we talk about recovery, everyone wants to know, you know, the foam roller, I talked about contrast showers. It's the basics, man. It's just getting good nutrition and a good night's sleep is going to go a really long way to helping you with recovery, even physical recovery. Decreased weight training ability, increased perceived exertion when you haven't been getting enough sleep, reduced glucose metabolism, and can dull the competitive edge. It can decrease your motivation for performance. Okay. For example, going 22 hours without sleep is like downing 4 shots of liquor. Okay. Would you go to practice after having 4 shots of liquor? 3 maybe, but not 4, right? Okay. So,
You did it, Ellen.
if I know. God, you guys are tough, man. So look at that. This is pathetic. Hand-eye coordination, memory, on and on and on, okay? And you know what? I can't tell you how many times people come to my class or the athletic training room and they've gone for more than 22 hours without sleep, okay? And I know you got a lot to do. Because I've had people tell me, I don't have time to eat 3 meals a day. I don't have time to sleep 8 hours a night. It's like all these things that they're like optional now. Like food and sleep. It's like, no, I really don't have time for that. So all I'm trying to convince you is to make it as high a priority as you can. So I've talked about what happens if you don't get enough sleep. So what happens if you do get a lot of sleep? We did this study at Stanford, Cheryl Ma, and it was actually pretty fascinating. So one of the benefits of increased sleep, this was done in 2005, and she found that it's called clearing your sleep debt. We all walk around with a certain amount of sleep debt. And what they did was they take a group of athletes and they cleared it. So they got extra sleep every night. And then after time, the sleep debt was gone. It was erased. Because sleep debt is cumulative, all right? It's kind of like nature's loan shark, but you got to pay back. So they did this with the swimming and the basketball team for 10 weeks. Again, the second 10 weeks, they went up to 10 hours a day for 6, and they cleared the debt. They found, the studies are amazing. Here's a quote. Many of the athletes participating in the study have set new personal records, season best times, and broken long-standing Stanford and American records. On a more objective note, the players tested their reaction time had improved, their sprint times were faster, their mood was better, they had less fatigue, they had greater shooting accuracy. All statistically significantly improved in the second phase when they were getting 10 hours of sleep. They reported feeling less fatigue, and they just felt better. They'd never been so happy in their lives. Okay? Here's some more. Another attempt to... Okay, smile. So I discovered Pinterest recently, and I really like Pinterest. And I don't get as much done at work, but I have a lot more fun. Okay. Sorry, Ellen, you convinced us that it's really important to get a good night's sleep, but how do I do that? It can be hard, speaking from experience, but a few things that will try and help you. Being consistent, and this is tough. Going to bed around the same time and getting up around the same time. And that's 7 days a week, okay? The reason why Monday mornings are so god-awful is because it can be really tough. If you slept into 11 Saturday and Sunday and now you're trying to get up again, it can really wreak havoc with your body. Establishing a pre-bed routine. So you're not, watching CSI or whatever, some exciting, dramatic, scary show, and then you turn around and try and go to sleep. Maybe you listen to some music for 10 minutes, and choice of music might come into play too. You read your book, but you have a little routine because you're starting to tell your body that, okay, now I'm getting ready to go to sleep. Dark, quiet, and cool. No clocks or electronics. I don't have any of that in my room. Okay, it's just quiet and dark and cool. And you want to really try and go for that. I know you don't have full say over the entire room, but that can make a difference as well. Minimizing liquids 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed. You believe that came out of my mouth, minimizing liquids. But that's so you don't have to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Bathroom before bed. Avoid caffeine after 3. Napping can be a great thing. And I think it can be a very effective tool for dealing with sleep crisis and sleep loss. It can make you smarter and faster. And about 10 to 30 minutes can increase your concentration and enhance your mood and even help to fine-tune your motor skills. It can help consolidate and improve motor memory, all important things for athletes. Okay. A longer nap, longer than 30, 45 minutes, can lead to sleep inertia. I think we've all experienced that, where you take a long nap and then you're just having really trouble waking up again. Okay, so it is a little bit advantageous to keep them short. And I personally don't do this, but getting up if necessary. So if you're laying there for hours, and you can't go into the living room, but maybe going to a different room and doing something different, and then coming back to bed. That is advised by a lot of people. Again, I tend to just lay there. Okay. And as I said, the Triad of Health, those would be the top 3. I'm done. Thank you.